gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January the 18th, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, we have a couple good things to talk about today. I think I'll start with the decision of Jake Garcia to go into the transfer portal. And I've got mixed opinions on this. I mean, we both really like Jake Garcia, being very nice kid. Got to know his family a little bit during his time at Miami, and very, very nice people, top to bottom. And so it's kind of sad to see Jake's time at Miami come to an end, but at the same time, he's probably making a good decision for Jake, because when you look at the way last season went, you look at Tyler coming back. I think that there's going to be a commitment going to spring practice with a new quarterbacks coach to try to see if they can develop Ja'Cory Brown, because they like so many of the things that he can do athletically. And then you've got Emory Williams coming into the program, very highly regarded as well. I'm not quite sure what the rep situation would have been like in spring practice for Jake Garcia. And, when I thought about it that way, at first I was a little surprised. I thought he was going to stick it out through spring and see how spring went. But then after he made the decision to go to the portal, I started thinking about it. Like, you know what? I don't think anybody's taking him as a starting quarterback right now. Wherever he goes, he's probably going to go as a backup developmental guy. But probably in his interest, when you look at the way Miami's trying to recruit quarterbacks in 2024 as well, to go into the portal now, search for a new home, and see where that path takes him. Your thoughts on the Jake Garcia situation?
What you don't want is for quarterback U to become quarterback CU, and you're gone, because there's only 3 quarterbacks on the roster now. You can't.
Well, they got a couple walk-ons.
You can't have a 4-star come in and 2 years later say, see you later, whatever. I don't know if it's quarterback CU, whatever. Like, you can't do that. I think it's not good for Miami. I think it's good for Jake Garcia, because, look, we don't know what's going to happen with the new offensive coordinator, new quarterbacks coach. Maybe that would have been the best mentor in the world for Jake Garcia. Maybe he would have bought something out of Jake Garcia that, what do we call him now? Frank, what did I call him? Not Frank Ponce, I call him Frank Gaddis. Josh Ponce? I don't remember what I called him yesterday. The two-headed monster couldn't get out of Jake Garcia, obviously, what his potential was, because let's face it, Jake Garcia has a lot of potential. He was definitely swimming in the Josh Gaddis offense. And whether that's on Jake or on the two-headed monster or on both, most likely it's on both. So with the expectation there's a new coordinator, I think that Jake and his family most likely waited until the last possible moment just to see, are you getting rid of Josh Gaddis? Like, I think Jake wanted to stay. I think if they brought in a coordinator that sat down with Jake at some point before the portal closed and was able to say, listen, I watched your film from high school. Listen, I watched your practice cut-ups from last fall. I see the potential. If somebody had done that, Miami would still have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. You can't survive with Tyler Van Dyke, who missed half of last year injured, and then Ja'Cory, who we don't know if he can pass the ball or not based on last year, and a true freshman. I mean, the fact that they couldn't at least talk Jake Garcia into please just wait and see who our coordinator is. We understand you didn't function well in this offense, but whatever, make some, at least tell him what's going on. I mean, the only thing that I think would have forced Jake Garcia out was if they wouldn't guarantee that Coach Gaddis was leaving, because from what I've heard from multiple sources, is the quarterback room was not happy. Not just Jake, but the quarterback room in general was not real happy with that offense last year, and you can see why.
I've heard the same thing, so I'll back that up.
Yeah, you could see this. You could see why. I could have made that up without even hearing it, knowing it would be true, because nobody's going to be happy in that offense anyway. But I'm not making it up. I only make up restaurant reviews and send people to places to get donuts. But listen, bottom line is they needed Jake Garcia to stay through spring ball. Very difficult to go through a season with one starting quarterback that you're praying stays healthy, and then two guys who basically, one's shown that he can't throw the ball or couldn't throw the ball last year, and the other one is a high school freshman. That's very difficult. People can do it. Sam Howell's of the world can do it. But let's face it, Emory Williams was not highly recruited. If he was a 5-star quarterback who's ranked 5th in the country, I think a lot of fans out there would be like, yeah, it's fine. If Tyler goes down, it's okay. This isn't that guy. This is a guy who played not at the highest level of high school, but did very well. He's got all the things you want in a quarterback: smart, good arm, good enough arm, and accurate. But you don't know how a guy like that's going to respond in a major game and situations like that. It's just not, to me, it's not ideal.
All right. Well, I'm feeling good right now because I totally disagree with you, and that puts me in my element, and I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good.
What do you disagree with me about? What do you disagree?
Listen, let me lay this scenario out for you. First of all, they've got Tyler Van Dyke, Ja'Cory Brown, and they've got Emory Williams, and then they have 2 walk-ons. Okay, so they're good for spring practice. All right. Now, you go through spring practice, you bring in what we suspect is going to be a new coordinator. Still not anything official there yet. Coach Gaddis is still in the building. So, we don't want to be too ahead of ourselves here, but for the sake of this discussion, we can assume that will eventually happen. Okay. So you go into spring, you got Tyler as your starter, clear cut, no questions about it. Okay. You got Ja'Cory Brown as your number 2. This gives you the spring to work really, really hard with Ja'Cory Brown. Okay. He is a quarterback that is always going to inspire imagination. Last year, it was way ahead of itself. Now he's had that experience. And now I think you want to see, can you take him up a notch? New coaching, new offense. Can you elevate Ja'Cory Brown? Well, you have 15 spring practices to start figuring that out and see where he is now at this stage of his development. You've also got 15 spring practices now with one less quarterback to split reps, which allows you to give Emory Williams more reps in spring practice. Okay. So by the time you get to the middle of April, you will have a really good idea where you are at the quarterback position. Okay. Now, what happens in May? In May, the transfer portal opens up again. Okay. So if you are not happy, Mario Cristobal and your OC, whoever it might be, with your quarterback situation coming out of spring practice, you have time to put feelers out to your networks out there around the country, all your coaches. Miami is looking for a young developmental quarterback who can come in, learn this year, and then in spring next year, compete to be the starter. Okay. And that opens up a pool of potential guys that might be interested in taking that shot at Miami. You got to understand, like, there are places where there are log jams of quarterbacks, the Alabamas of the world, the Georgias of the world. And don't ask me who. I'm not studying their roster right now or anything like that. But there will be places coming out of spring where they are log jammed at the quarterback position. And so you check out what you've got in spring. You give extra reps to Ja'Cory and Emory. You don't have Jake taking up reps. A guy that you already know you probably don't feel is the future of quarterback at Miami, based on what happened last year. You don't feel great about that. Jake goes out and finds a new home where he gets a clean start to try to build his resume at a new school. And then at the end of spring practice, the Miami coaches can assess where they are at quarterback. Are they happy going into the season with what they have? So I have no problem with this plan. I hear what you're saying, but when I took a step back yesterday and thought about it, when I heard that Jake was going to go to the portal, I warmed up to the idea. I said, you know what? This really is the best thing for everybody.
Oh, it's my turn, finally. Okay, first of all, you didn't disagree with anything I said. Whatever. You said you were going to, and then you just added a bunch of stuff that I hadn't even addressed. But I will disagree with you because again, going into the portal to take young, unproven quarterbacks is not what I think they should do. There's no rush to get some young, unproven guy. Here's the problem with your whole argument.
You don't even know who it would be.
Doesn't matter because the problem is.
Let's say Alabama, for example.
Can I talk for 1 minute?
In a minute, you can. I just want to point something out to you. And I haven't looked at their rosters. I can't even tell you who's in their quarterback room. I just know that Alabama and Georgia have the top 2 recruiting classes every single year, and those usually include quarterbacks, okay? So they are stacked up at quarterback probably in those programs. Okay, so what if it's somebody from there? What if it's the 3rd-team quarterback at Georgia who says, you know what, things aren't looking great for me here. Let me go check out Miami. Justin Fields. Look at what happened with him. He was in that exact same situation. I mean, went to Ohio State and became a star at Ohio State, and now he's starring for the Chicago Bears. I mean,
look at Tate Martell. You just mixed it up. Listen, you don't let me finish the sentence.
We're not talking about Tate Martell.
You don't let me finish the sentence.
There is no example.
You have no idea
no comparison between Justin Fields and Tate.
You don't even listen because what I was going to try to talk about was NIL, but you just go off on these tangents. So let's say you go into the portal and you get some backup who's done nothing. Quarterback transfers demand a lot of money. They're quarterbacks. They take up NIL money. $500,000 will go to whoever they can get because that's just what the market demands. When you go to Alabama or Ohio State and you want to grab a quarterback from that program, okay, do it. My argument would be instead of grabbing him when he's unproven and a 3rd-string guy, wait till Tyler Van Dyke's gone and then get yourself somebody who's proven and pay $1 million instead of wasting $500,000 on some guy who's going to be a backup.
Wait a minute. What about him learning the offense during the course of this year?
You don't know if he's going to pan out. You're getting a
Why do you have to wait
guy.
To bring somebody in next January?
Get a proven quarterback after Tyler's gone in the portal. Don't get some 3rd-string guy from some other school that you don't know if he's going to pan out or not. They did that at Ohio State with Tate Martell. I don't need Tate Martell.
I'm not proposing Tate Martell, okay?
You're proposing. Well, you gave an example of Justin Fields, so I'm doing the opposite spectrum. You don't know. You don't know who you're getting.
Okay.
Oh, you know if you're getting a guy who's never played because he's 3rd-string.
Okay, we're not talking the same language. I am suggesting that some of the top programs in the country are 3 deep at quarterback. Okay, and there are young guys in those programs that have no hope of playing more than likely in the next few years who might find a situation like what's at Miami appealing.
So
I don't know who it is.
He's not good enough to play there.
I have not studied the rosters.
No, if he's not good enough to be a starter or a 2nd-teamer there, I don't want him here. Pay your $1 million. Don't waste $500,000 on a guy who's a backup somewhere else that can't break into the depth chart there. Pay your $1 million when Tyler's gone and get yourself a top-line quarterback because in 2 years, we should be competing for the playoffs. We don't need a battle. Oh, we're going to promise you you're a 3rd-teamer now at whatever school. We're going to promise you a chance to start in 2 years here. No, man, get a quarterback who started somewhere and been great.
Let's say you're in the market. Let's say Tyler Van Dyke left tomorrow and you're in the market for that right now. Who do you think you're going to get? Who are you spending your $1 million on?
Listen, you go back door. You don't know
you're going to get Drake May to come here from North Carolina?
You can get anybody if it's the right offensive coordinator and you have the right receivers and the right system. You can get anybody to come here by paying $1 million, or outbidding any other school. Like, it's free agency. What planet are you living on? Do you not understand what NIL means? NIL means you can get anybody you want through these backdoor channels. Don't shake your head. No,
right,
there's an amount of money that will get any. You can get Bryce Young right now.
I am proposing.
Bryce Young would come to Miami right now for $100 million. I'm sorry, it's true.
$100 million. Okay, here's what I'm proposing. Okay, I'll try to compromise with you on this one. We do not know where this is going. Okay, we know there's going to be 3 scholarship quarterbacks in spring practice. We do not know how they are going to perform. Okay, we feel fairly certain that Tyler Van Dyke is going to be the starter in 2023 for the Miami Hurricanes. Okay,
my prediction, by the way, is they take a 4th quarterback in the portal, and that he's going to suck. That's my prediction.
Because I don't think they'll do it right now.
Because I'm an optimist.
If they do it, I think they'll do it in May. And if they do it in May, it's going to be because Ja'Cory Brown and Emory Williams did not perform very well in spring practice. Okay, and I'm okay with that. Like, I think it's good. I think it's a good strategy. and we'll leave it at that for now.
First of all, you and getting Emory Williams extra reps in the 15 practices.
I think it's great.
Jakari Brown came in, and he had plenty of opportunities for reps when he came in. Do you know they didn't give him a single 11-on-11 rep the entire spring? The entire spring, not a single 11-on-11 rep, because he didn't understand the offense whatsoever. They would throw everybody off the field on the offensive line and defensive line and let him just do 7-on-7 reps. But magically, Emory Williams is going to come in and run the offense perfectly for 15 practices after being on campus for a month, because apparently he's the Einstein of football players, and it doesn't matter.
Everyone's going to be in the same boat if it plays out the way we think, Matt. Everybody's going to be learning a new offense. So I don't think it matters that you're a freshman, a sophomore, a junior.
Actually, believe it or not, it does.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? Because it's going to be this is what's going to happen in March when spring practice begins, and we're going to see. We'll see how it plays out. But if they come out of spring and aren't happy with their quarterback situation, I think they still will have an opportunity to add someone in the transfer portal. So we'll see. We're at no point in arguing it any further right now, but they'll have options, in my opinion. All right, let's talk about other things here. And today we break down the transfer portal successes and failures. Interesting that we transitioned from one transfer portal topic to another, but you've been very anti-transfer portal. Okay, so we talked about it. I said, Matt, why don't you go
you
do
did not say, Matt. I thought of the idea myself.
No, it evolved from our debates that occur way too often. And the concept was that you go examine how Miami has done in the transfer portal, look at the successes, look at the failures, come back and see if your opinion on the transfer portal has changed. And what you found is that things were a little bit better in the transfer portal than you initially thought because of your deep, disgusting bias towards the transfer portal that clouds any judgment whatsoever you have left in that brain of yours on this subject. So now that you've done this story, what do you think of the transfer portal now, Matt?
Well, first of all, I was surprised. I thought if you asked me off the top of my head in the last 4 years, and again, we're going back to the hit or miss stuff. This is not the hit or miss on 3 study anymore. These are actual hits or misses. Guy started and contributed, or the guy didn't. That's it. That's the hit or miss now. I expected 50%. When I think of transfer portal, I think of the failures because that's who I am. I just think of the bad stuff. It's like what movies did you go to recently? If you've been to 10 movies, I'll think of the 2 that I wasted my $30 on each time, and not the 8 ones that were awesome. So anyway, look, the transfer portal hits were really shockingly good to me up until Mario Cristobal took over. They had under the previous regime, they had 12 hits in our estimation, and you'll look at it and 4 misses, which is a really, really good ratio. But then last year, and Gary and I spoke about it. Initially, I had Darrell Jackson as a miss because he's here for a year and then leaves to your team that's going to try to beat you now at FSU. That's not really
the guy started every game last year. Right, so how do you call him a miss?
Right, so we changed him to a hit. So even with that, though, Gary and I agreed 4 hits and 7 misses, not anywhere near good enough in the portal last year. But some of those guys still have a chance this year to be a hit. Darrell Porter, for instance. So we'll see. But of course, what Gary constantly is missing is, while I did do this study for the purpose of seeing if the transfer portal was even worthwhile whatsoever, in the grand scheme of building a program, unlike Gary, I think you still have to go, I'd say, over 90% recruiting to the 95% recruiting level where you're really just doing 3 to 5 transfers a year. I think Gary would be happy just constantly taking guys that pan out. No. I think you would be. If you can
I would be happy when the roster gets to the point
if you get
where you don't need to take transfers, or you need to take.
Let me ask you a question. Well, you say that, but if I told you tomorrow that next year Miami could get 10 players in the portal that will qualify as hits, would you take them or not?
Only if you need them. The high school route is definitely the preferred route, but if you're not there from a roster standpoint,
right? The portal is a necessary. So you agree with me then? The portal is a necessary evil at times, And you should only take seniors that are then gone, which a lot of these hits were one-year wonders where they do well for 1 year and they're gone. But you can't build a program. You can't build depth behind that position. It should be a rarity, not the constant. And it's become even more prevalent under Mario than the previous staff, which is what bothers me. There was he took 11 transfers last year. He's already at 7, and I think it's going to be 8 or 9 potentially. Maybe before the deadline to enroll for spring classes, and certainly by the fall, it'll be 9 or 10 in my opinion, at least. So another double-digit year. And what was it? Did they call Manny Diaz like the transfer portal U or something because he was taking so many transfers, right? Well, guess how many transfers he took?
He tried to save his job.
7 was the most he ever took. 7. The most transfer portal U Manny Diaz ever took was 7. Mario took 11 last year. He's going to take 10 this year. Mario knows you can't build a program with the portal, but he's desperate to win now, just like Gary Ferman is. And I keep stressing, no, don't be desperate to win now. Win in the future.
Let's go 5 and 7 again.
You cannot do both.
A parade of 5 and 7. Let's do it one more time. One more time.
Listen, if I told you that you would be 5 and 7 this year and then win 11 games the next year, or you could win 9 games this year and 9 games the following year, which one are you taking? Which of those two scenarios?
9 and 9.
You're taking 9 wins.
Yeah, because you can't guarantee
me the season.
You can't guarantee me 11 in year 3.
I'm guaranteeing
11 doesn't get you anywhere more than 9 gets you.
So you'd rather be 9 and what would it be 9 and 4?
9 and 3. 9 and 3.
Well, including a bowl game, 9 and 4, 9 and 4.
No, because you'd
rather do that instead of go 11 and 2. Like, I don't even understand how to talk to you. I'd rather be 11 and 2 and suffer one bad year.
I want no part of this 5 and 7 again. This last year was miserable.
This is what I kept trying to tell people.
You're just out. You're out fishing for stone crabs every day, so it doesn't bother you.
I'm
in the trenches with our people, with our subscribers at CaneSport.com. We are in the bunker, in the war room, every single minute of every day while you're fishing. We have to live through this 5-win season that we just did, and it was miserable. No, listen, I don't want another 5-win season.
Jake Garcia entered the transfer portal while I was out stone crabbing yesterday. So I think I don't think that was a coincidence. I think
was there anything in your traps?
I think Jake Garcia didn't want to upset me and make me realize there's only 3 quarterbacks for as long as possible. He probably saw me at the dock, saw me leave, and he's like, "I'm entering the transfer portal," and then I could be just not have to worry about only having 3 quarterbacks on the roster for a few hours.
Were there any crabs in your traps, or are you putting the traps in the transfer portal?
Finally, we got some crabs in the traps. It's been a little rough year. But did I tell you last time we were out there, we watched these commercial stone crabbers, and it's an assembly line. It's an amazing thing what they do on this. It's not a big boat, but the traps, they have a pulley system, and the pulley just drags the rope, and they have probably 10 or 20, I don't remember if it's 10 or 20 pots attached at the bottom by these ropes. And one comes up, they take the crabs out, they throw the entire crab into some sort of a bin where there's some dude back there who then takes the claws off. It's like a whole assembly line. It's amazing. Next pot, next pot, next pot, next pot. For us, we do it.
And then they throw the crabs back in?
Manually. I would hope so. I mean, you can't eat the carcass. But no, we did well yesterday. But there's definitely a pot thief out in the bay, because we've lost a lot of stone crab pots this cycle. They're worth about $50 each. And if you see them on eBay, people, let me know who's selling them, because somebody's got my pots.
All right, but so after going through this transfer portal exercise that people will absorb here this morning, has it changed your opinion a little bit about the possibilities of the portal?
Like they did the portal thing. They got all these hits, right? And they won what? 5 games 1 year, 7 games 1 year, 8 games 1 year. So no, because like if you're gonna have this was way more successful than I thought it would be for the portal. And look at the results of this fantastic portal investment where you're hitting on, what was it, 60% almost of the time in the portal, which is fantastic. It just proves the point that you can't win with the portal, because they were as successful in the portal as anybody, I have to think. I mean, you get a first-round draft pick out of it. You get Bubba Bold, and you get, go down the list. There's a lot of guys on that list in that story this morning that really were probably the best players on the team. KJ Osborne went to the NFL afterwards and has been doing really well. Charleston Rambo. Like, they carried this team to 7 wins, to 8 wins. So it just reinforces what I'm saying and what you're not saying, which is the portal doesn't work. Like, it's not an answer. It's a Band-Aid for a really bad team that now can win 7 or 8 games, which is why I'd rather win 11 instead of 9. Because if you're winning 11 games, that's not with the portal, man. You can't, like, you can get lucky maybe and do free agency, but it's not the portal. You're not taking the portal. For me, means backups at other programs, guys who maybe pan out here that didn't pan out somewhere else, or come from UAB or come from Georgia State. Like, that's the portal. That's not free agency. And I don't see them getting, the 10 to 15 free agents that you need to win every single year, because that's what it would take. It would take 10 to 15 free agents every single year for eternity for them to be a top team. And that just doesn't seem to be a viable option unless you have Mario's good friend over at Oregon, the Nike guy, Phil Knight, wants to give him some money, because why not? Phil's a nice guy.
I still say the ideal thing is to do a really good job with your high school recruiting and get to the point where you only need a handful of guys each year to supplement that in the portal. And when you get there, which is where you see the Alabamas and the Georgias, that's when you're going to know that your football team is ready to start competing for conference championships and maybe even beyond that, the playoffs, etc. All right, we got a few more things to talk about today, but first, let's hear from our friends at LifeWallet.
Me lastimé la cadera en 8º grado en una práctica antes de un juego. Si hubiese tenido LifeWallet en ese momento, mi proceso de recuperarme hubiera sido más rápido. Ser parte de este equipo es lo mejor porque me está abriendo puertas y puedo conocer a más personas. Mi sueño es llegar a la NFL y jugar con mi hermano en la NFL. Yo soy LifeWallet, ahorrando tiempo, salvando vidas.
Look, I wish they didn't put the captions at the bottom, because I would try to
just try to throw some variety into the LifeWallet commercials. We're ready for a whole new. I hope they're going into production soon for some new commercials.
You know what language I took growing up? I took a great language growing up. It was called Latin, and God knows why my parents made me take Latin. I didn't know at the time when they put me in it that, basically only the Pope speaks it. I don't think anybody else even speaks it in the world. And eventually they told me that they put me in it because they thought it would help me on the SATs. Because every language in English has a root in Latin. And which is funny, because the Latin word for transfer portal is idiosyncrasy. It's idiosyncrasy. No, that didn't go over well. Edit that out. Cut that.
All right, so a few more football stories. We'll go talk about those first. There's the continuation of our CaneSport 30 for 30 series, ranking the top 30 Miami Hurricanes with 30 or more reps of experience. And today that gets to number 16, linebacker Francisco Maigoa, who qualifies because he had more than 30 reps at Washington State. And Matt, this is a guy that I think is going to be a huge addition to the Canes defense. I think he immediately.
Soccer. You think somebody's going to be a huge addition to the defense who's in the portal?
This is one of the better inside linebackers in the Pac-12, coming to a team that was abysmal in the middle last year. I mean, they went out and got Caleb Johnson in the transfer portal, and he wasn't good enough to usurp Corey Flagg, who is, he tried hard, and I give him a lot of credit for that, but he's not a great linebacker. They got to get better at linebacker. I think Francisco Maigoa gives them a chance.
My next CaneSport on 3 feature is going to be a series looking at Gary Ferman and all of his predictions for transfer portal guys that will not work out, because the answer is 0. I've never heard Gary Ferman ever say, this portal guy sucks. This portal guy's never going to do anything. This portal guy shouldn't have been a take. Everybody in the portal, according to Gary Ferman, is going to work out amazing. Doesn't matter if you come from Washington State or Georgia State. They're always great additions. At worst, Gary Ferman says, they can help us practice, which is amazing, because without Thomas Gore, we would never be able to have a practice. We'd have to cancel the spring. We'd have no spring practice. Thank God Thomas Gore is in the program, according to Gary Ferman.
Listen, I don't know where he's going to fit in the rotation or not or whatever at this point, but I do know this. He's a hardworking kid with a great motor. And yes, he will make them better just by his presence on the team. So, yeah, I do feel that way about Thomas Gore.
Everybody makes the team better by their presence on the team.
You got to have second and third teamers, too. You have to be able to run practice.
Everybody should be a first teamer. And by that, I mean, if you're not having people
guys on a team of 85,
can I even finish
85 players, Matt. It's an 85-man roster. You have 22 starters. How is everybody supposed to be a starter?
I was going to tell you, except you keep constantly talk. I'm the one who talks way too much.
Discipline to be quiet while you're spewing nonsense. So I'm going to force feed myself.
Thank you. All 85 guys on the roster should be first teamers in their own minds. Because if you come in to the program and you think you're a third teamer or a second teamer, then leave. We don't need you at Miami. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you don't let me finish my thoughts.
What the hell did I need this for?
I don't know. I don't know what
you're only going to
talk of wisdom you thought I was going to
5 seconds. All right, listen. I think Francisco Mayagoa is going to make the defense better. What that means, I hope it means they win more than 5 games. Okay? Because contrary to you, I do not want to see another 5-win season. I like this pickup in the portal. I thought he was one of the best inside linebackers in the Pac-12. I think he will make this defense better.
I did not say I wanted to see a 5-win season. I want to see a 4-win or 3-win season because then you can bring in the real talent because they could all start right away because they'll see how bad we are. No, I don't want a 5-win season, Gary. I want Miami to do really well, but I don't want them to do average or mediocre at the expense of what I think could be a championship team in a couple of years. That's what I don't want. I'd rather have a 5-win season now and not take a bunch of average portal guys that are going to take up spots for a couple of years. Like, that's not for me, man. That's for Gary Ferman, who wants just backup players, who think they're backup players, who just want to practice and do nothing else. That's the Gary Ferman system, the Matt Shodell system. And by the way, I have to thank everybody on the CaneSport message boards who they nominated me to be the offensive coordinator. But then I realized it was just because they think I'm an offensive person, and it had nothing to do with the coordinator part of it. But initially, I was actually very honored by that.
Do you think there's crabs in those pods yet? I mean, I know it's only been about 12 hours since you were last out there. Can I send you back out right now so I can finish?
You know what? I should show you my contraption I have for cracking these stone crabs. It's an amazing. My friend actually built it for me. It's an amazing contraption. But I'm not going to go get it right now. But
please, not now. Tomorrow. Bring it tomorrow.
I don't use the hammer. I don't use any of that stuff. And let me tell you, when they're fresh out of the bay, we ate them last night. They were, I want to say, 3.5 hours out of the bay, and there's nothing like it. You boil. The key is stick them in a pot of cold water. When it comes to the first big bubble, you wait 5 minutes, throw them in an ice bath for 20 minutes, mix up some Dijon mustard with some mayonnaise at a 3-to-1 ratio of mayo to mustard, approximately, and you crack them and eat them, man, and it's like heaven on earth. It really is. Wait,
did you say a pot of cold water?
Well, ice water. You put them in ice bath. You put them in an ice bath. Yeah.
After you boil them?
Yeah, of course. You're not going to eat them hot.
Okay. So you boil them for how many minutes?
After the first, you put them in cold water.
Right.
After the first big bubble and they start snapping, they sort of contract or whatever. The claws, they're not alive, Gary. Okay. They're not in pain. But yeah, you boil them for 5 minutes after the first big bubble, and then you throw them in an ice bath. 20 minutes in the ice bath. They're ready to go.
Interesting.
They're ready to go. Yeah, they were. Yeah, there's. How you get those the sticky crabs sometimes. I've never had a single sticky.
No, these aren't going to be sticky the way what you're doing. They're only sticky when they're frozen.
I don't know why. Honestly, I don't even know how that happens. They try to say it's because it's in cold water, but it's never happened to me. The bay is cold in the winter sometimes.
Well, yes. When the water's cold, they sometimes can be sticky.
That's what they say, but I've never had that problem ever. And by the way, the bay yesterday was the smoothest conditions I've ever seen. It was like an aquarium everywhere you went. I mean, literally, you could see your pots on the bottom of the bay. I mean, it was crystal clear.
That's why they're getting stolen. All right.
You're right, actually.
Getting back to business here. We also have an analysis of recent tight end Cam McCormick and how he fits in at Miami. And how he fits in at Miami, Matt, is not real complicated, okay? This is one of the better inline blocking tight ends in the country who was available in the transfer portal that you hate. And that is why he is here, because Miami does not have close to another human being that they can line up a tight end that can block at anywhere close to the level of Cam McCormick. Tell me, please, that you feel good about this transfer portal pickup.
He's all right.
All right. Well, I'm going to answer for you. Yes, Gary, I am in big time approval of this one because Miami needs better blocking at the tight end position than it got in 2022. So it's got to be better in 2023.
Look, let's face it. What 28-year-old wants to hang out with like 18-year-olds? No, nobody wants to do that. Where's he going to live? In one of the coaches' houses? I mean, he doesn't want to be.
Lou Hedley just did it. Lou Hedley did it, was just fine.
Listen, when I was 28, if you told me that I could repeat my 9th year of high school or whatever this is going to be and live in a dorm with a bunch of young guys that just want to drink and party, well, not necessarily Miami players, but whoever's in the dorm with them, like I'm too old for that. Like I was too old for that when I was 21, let alone 28, like I had enough. That's not for me. So yeah, if they told me I could repeat my senior year of high school for a 9th time, I would have been like, listen, I'm good, But he's repeating his college for the 9th time, and maybe it's different. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be a great time for him to hang out with the 18-year-olds and the rich NIL-laden pockets of all these players that are on campus. Whereas, I don't know if he's an NIL guy. I'm assuming maybe partially NIL-ish. Maybe he's like an NI without the L. I don't know. Maybe got a little bit of something. I have no idea.
Man, I give up. I just give up. All right. So
would you want to be a 28-year-old hanging out with 18-year-olds? Like at least Lou Hedley had a bunch of tattoos and could fit in.
This guy's got tattoos.
This guy has tattoos. I take it back. This guy has tattoos. He'll be fine. Yeah, he'll fit right in. He's fine.
He's
Never
got
mind.
plenty of tattoos.
I forgot about the tattoos. Yeah.
He's got probably more tattoos.
Me, I have no tattoos. For me as a 28-year-old, it would be weird for me to hang out with 18-year-olds. As a matter of fact, if I was hanging out with 18-year-olds when I was 28, I have a feeling like the police would have been called. So, the tattoos helps a lot. I think it makes him like more hip, cooler, like the vibe, fit in with everybody. I don't know why I think that. Maybe it's because I am this old. Maybe everyone has tattoos now. I don't know. But I do know that I pass a tattoo parlor every single day on the way to Starbucks. And I always look in the window, and there's never anyone getting a tattoo. So, like, how do they make money? What I don't understand. It's like
how do all these businesses, these strip shopping centers, make money? Like, it's like you look at most of them, they're like, who the hell goes in there? But I don't know. All right. Anyway, so recruiting is obviously in overdrive right now. And we have several recruiting stories once again on the website. Miami Palmetto wide receiver Ja'Cory Barney, he's added a Miami offer. He breaks down where things stand with him. Class of 2025, believe it or not, Palm Beach Cardinal Newman cornerback Josh Philostin, he recently added a Miami to his offer list, and he shares his early take with us. The top wide receiver in 2025, his name is Caleb Cunningham. He also picked up Kane's offer. So Miami's working really hard, 24-25 class, and we are beating the bushes to track these guys down and just give you updates on where these guys are early in their process and where Miami is on their radar. And of course, it's all going to come to a head this weekend when a lot of the nation's top young players will be in town for the Battle 7-on-7 tournament. We will have tons of coverage of that for you coming up over the weekend and into next week. Miami also will be having a junior day Saturday. We'll have coverage of that. So a lot coming up here in the next few days for you guys to look forward to. The men's basketball team is headed to Duke, I believe, this weekend, and that'll be an interesting thing to watch as well. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us, putting up with Matt. If you like this show, like our YouTube channel, hit your subscribe button hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube. That helps us grow our audience. And if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please, please, please come join our community. Come join our website. Your subscriptions are what allow us to do what we do every single day to try to help you guys enhance your fan experience. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for being a part of our show today. We'll see you next time, everybody.